Alright, so hi guys, welcome back to Blissful Pursuit. For those who didn't get the diary entry this morning, if you didn't get it and you haven't heard from me today, what you need to do is click the link below, sign up so you're on the mailing list. Today is just about talking about fasting. I personally have not fasted in a very long time. I haven't fasted since last year summer, so 2017 summer. Okay, so jumping straight in, I wanted to know, why do we fast? Because if anyone was to ask me, I think my first answer would be to humble ourselves. But I thought, now let me go back to scripture. Let me really have a look into why we fast. And lo and behold, the Lord gave me a scripture. Yes, the second scripture I landed on had the how we should fast, the why we fast as well, and what we should do when we're fasting. And so Isaiah 58 is what I encourage you guys to read. I also want to encourage you guys as well. Please share with me why you fast. Share with me the power you believe there is in fasting. Share with me scripture. Let me know what the Bible is saying about fasting. Because I feel like I'm new to this, and other people might do too. So please comment below what you think, what you know, and email me, DM me, all of that stuff too. And so I was going through videos, and I'll link this video below because it's very powerful, and it's called The Power of Fasting. You're starving your flesh, but there's a part of your spirit that you're empowering, and it's a spiritual discipline in the sense that, like, there's a power to tap into. And it says to put on the armor of Christ, and I think fasting is very much one of the ways that you put on this armor, because we're fighting principalities of darkness. At the end of the day, we're not fighting flesh and man, and so the best way to equip yourself is to fight in the spirit. And I think fasting is a way of fighting in the spirit. In that video he says, if you can't overcome the power of your belly, how can you overcome the power of a demon? And I thought that was so powerful. Their God is their stomach, and their glory is in their shame. And I think this is very true, not just in the stomach, like definitely in the stomach, talking about what we eat, because truth is, when your stomach calls, you run. I don't know about you guys, I don't have this been that area, but when my stomach calls, I run. When my stomach says jump, I say how high. It says we're hungry, I say how hungry. It says I want this, I said how much of it. And so I think in many ways my stomach is Lord. And what I find is, whenever when I did try fast over a year ago, what I found so difficult was when I first felt that bit of hunger, when my stomach first started whispering to me, first started talking, then shouting. I said, Lord, this is hard. Like, this is hard. But in other way, we have so many stomachs and appetites for certain things in our lives which become lords in our life, which become idols in our life. You might have a stomach for an appetite for success. You might have an appetite for money. You might have an appetite for any kind of satisfaction coming from different kinds of people, coming from any kind of appraisal. There's certain things we have an appetite for that can restrict us in our walk with Christ. And so I like how he talks about discipline again, because I think when you're disciplined in something, you gain strength in something, and the strength we're gaining is God's strength. So yeah, I think it's important to fast over whatever is Lord in your life. There's certain things that have a certain power of you that you can't quite explain, and I think it's really important when I say stuff like this to bring it close to home. I think things like other people's approval can play, and people's opinions can play Lord in your life, especially if you have any kind of insecurities, or you can find that you move to the beat of other people's drums. When they're happy with you, you're more happy with yourself, and you can more concentrate on the Lord. But when they're disappointed, when they don't approve of what you do, it's harder to focus on the Lord because you feel like you've been rejected from a society. I think it's also important to highlight, I think it's to do with consumption. What are you consuming? So if you're consuming junk, if you're consuming food that isn't good for you, if you're over consuming, if you're overindulging, not only does the Bible speak against that, but it's also that you're feeding your body with things that aren't good for you. You're feeding your body with things that make you tired, with things that make you lethargic, with things that weaken you, with things that damage your temple. If it's you're feeding your heart, what is it that you're allowing into your heart? Who is it that you're allowing into your heart? What are you feeding your heart? If it's your mind, what are you exposing yourself to? What are you watching? What are you listening to? Who are you listening to? Who are you speaking to? How do you speak to yourself? These are also things that feed your heart, your mind, and they feed your spirit at the end of the day. So what are you consuming? I think fasting is an important time to rid yourself of those things that you're consuming that aren't necessarily good for you, or maybe replace them with something that you know is great for you. So you might be consuming things that aren't necessarily bad, but what if you change that around and consume something of the Lord instead? What if you change that around and consume scripture instead? What if you change that around and consumed time in praise, time in worship, time in fellowship? So yeah, I got to Isaiah 58, and this for me was the how. This was for me the what. And it just goes into true fasting, and it says, like, God, we're doing all these things, we're humbling ourselves before you, because I think fasting is a huge thing of humbling myself. Like, God, I crumble at the call of my stomach. No, I'm weak without you. I need you. But Lord, you're still not answering us. And he says, do you think I only asked you to fast so that you can be humble and look low and look tired and cover yourself with sackcloth? And fasting is about a lot more than that. And I think what I really like about this chapter is, I think a lot of people struggle when they fast. All they focus on is what they're not having, and there is no power in that. When you're fasting, you need to, redirect your thoughts. When you're fasting, you need to redirect that energy and that hunger. And I think you redirect that into doing the things of the Lord. So one really good tip I'd give you is, when you're fasting, to those times when you start to think of food, switch it up and say, okay, I'm going to think about God. Actually just have a conversation with him. Replace your conversations about your hunger and what you're missing out on with conversations with Christ. So when we get to verse 6, it says, is not this the kind of fasting I have chosen? To loose the chains of injustice and untie the cords of the yoke, to get the oppressed free and break every yoke. And I really even want to break this down more, because this chapter got me excited. It got me excited about this fast, because I only started to realize the power in this. Like, I know I made the challenge, and I felt like God was really like, okay, this is something we should do, but I didn't understand it until today. I still don't understand it, but I'm a bit more like, okay, alright. First of all, talking about to loose the chains of injustice. And the chains of injustice, I don't think it's just when someone does you wrong. I don't think it's only when something bad happens to you. I think we're also talking about injustice in the sense of, if you think of social injustice, if you think of generational curses and that kind of injustice, the sort of traps that you end up being in that have nothing to do with what you did, and nothing to do with your part you played in it, but it's holding you down, it's holding you captive, it's restricting your options, it's holding you in a place where you can't elevate, where you can't rise. And I think those are the type of the chains the Lord is saying, I can loose them and untie the cords of the yoke. To get the oppressed free and break every yoke. And what I like about yoke, so a yoke is, like, imagine you've got two oxen, and like the yoke is what draws them together. It's usually attached to something that they're pulling along. And I think this visually is, like, this analogy is so, so powerful, because he's doing both. He's not just untying the baggage and you're carrying, he's breaking whoever you're connected to, whatever you're connected to that is pulling you in the wrong direction. He's breaking whatever you're connected to that's slowing you down. It's not, do you know what I mean? Like, it's not just he's getting rid of this baggage behind you, he's also getting rid of this, and he's getting rid of this. There's the power to break chains, to break bonds in fasting. It's not just the removal of something. Like I said, we're starving our flesh of something, but we're also empowering our spirit. And you have to be active in your prayer, active in your communication, your fellowship with Christ, active in the work of the Lord. And so during your fast, watch how you speak to other people. Ask God to help you watch how you speak to people. Ask God to help you to empower people. Ask God to help you to inspire. Ask God to help you, save someone. Ask God to help you serve someone, to serve those who are less fortunate than you. And let's get chapter verse 8. I get happy. It says your light will break forth. It says your healing will quickly appear. It says your righteousness will go before you. And he goes on about all these things that he can do for you. And if you go into, I think it's Matthew, it says, when you're fasting, don't be looking so gloomy and upset and down. Do what you do and the Lord will reward you in private. I think this is why he wants us to be so active, because he sees what we're starving ourselves of, but he wants us to still show his glory through that. Now, there's different types of fast, like I said, and so the last bit I'll leave with you to help you come up with your game plan is you can do a fast with no food and water only. You can do an absolute fast, which is completely no food, no water. You can do a partial fast and you take out a certain type of food, or you can take out a certain type of meal. I may be wrong, so please correct me if I am, but I'd also encourage, if you're not thinking about fasting for food purposes, if you're not thinking about fasting and getting rid of food, I don't know what reasons, medical reasons, or just personal reasons, I also encourage you to fast and take away something else. So it might be social media, secular music, it might be fasting from, I mean, take out those things in your life that have power over you. Yeah, I just encourage you to find something that you can deprive yourself, your flesh of, for this time, so you can focus yourself more on the Lord. And but yes, welcome to everyone who's now joined the mailing list, and let's have a good day tomorrow. Good luck with everyone in your fasting. Good luck with whatever you decide to do. Good luck with your prayer, your worship, your fellowship, your scripture readings, and I'll hit you tomorrow.